Welcome to GameSpot's E3 2018 stage. I am here today with Dan Edelman, PR for Chasm. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great too. I'm very excited to see Chasm. I've followed it for a few years, and I'm feeling like we might finally be getting close to actually getting to play it.
Absolutely. And yeah, this is actually going to be the first time I mention this publicly in any way, but the game is done. We are in certification with Sony right now. We're going to be working with them to confirm a release date, but yeah, we're going to launch on Steam, PS4, and Vita. So if you're a Steam player, people can just add it to their wish list. And then PS4 and Vita will be announcing the release date fairly soon. So yeah, it's been in development for almost 6 years now. And
awesome.
So it's been a long road, but I think everyone's going to be really thrilled with what they see, like all the passion and work that went into it. I think it's really going to pay off.
Excellent. Well, let's take a look.
Awesome.
All right. So tell me, what exactly is Chasm?
So Chasm is a Metroidvania. It's more on the Vania side of the equation than the Metroid side. So I don't know if you're aware, but I also worked on Axiom Verge, which was much more Metroidy in its content, and this is more Vania. So in Chasm, you start as a new recruit who is sent to a mining town because the mines stopped working, and the mines are critical for the outpost where you live. So you are sent to investigate, and then you find that it's kind of a ghost town. So no one's home, no one's around, and then you are able to talk to one person who's still left and tells you that they were trying to expand the mine. When they blew out one wall, all these supernatural creatures started coming out of the woodwork. So now your mission has kind of changed in scope a little bit, that you have to find out where did these monsters come from? How do you rescue all those villagers who have gone missing? And how do you save the day? So that's kind of the story to it.
So is it all procedurally generated dungeons?
Yeah, so the way that part works is all of the rooms are hand designed, but when you start up a new campaign, and I can actually show this really quickly, you'll see in the bottom right of the screen it has a seed number. That seed number creates a unique world map that's just for you. And so one of the reasons that we decided to do that is that a lot of us have played Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Super Metroid, all these games over and over. And, the fun part about starting up a new game of those is the exploration. So how do you navigate the terrain? How do you get past these different roadblocks that you couldn't get past before? And how do you get to where you need to go? And so one of the problems, though, is if you've played those games over and over, you kind of memorize the map and you know exactly where you need to go next. So one of the nice things about Chasm, so here's an area where I can't access yet, so I'm going to have to remember to come back to that when I get a power-up later, is that you can have that fresh experience every time you play, where it's a new world map where you're exploring all over again. But that said, if you like the world map that you first played on and you just want to get really good at it, like you're a speed runner and you just want to hone your skills on this one map, and you like the fact that you've memorized the map, you can manually enter in that same seed number and you'll get the same exact map as the time before.
So, I've been following this game since before it was in Kickstarter, and this is actually an area that is very familiar to me. Do you ever get out of these mines, or is it a very mine-focused game? You are underneath this town the entire game.
So yeah, there's multiple areas, and the deeper into the game that you explore, the more areas that you'll find. So the mines are where you start, but later on, some of the areas that we've shown publicly, there's a gardens area which has this lush green to it, and there's catacombs that we've shown before, which has a little bit of a macabre, lots of skeletons all over the place kind of feel. And then some areas that we haven't shown publicly before and don't want to spoil them here.
Absolutely, and the Castlevania influences are very apparent, and like you said, with Axiom Verge being much more Metroid and this being much more Vania, I have to kind of wonder, can you find a whip?
There, I can neither confirm nor deny that there is a whip, but yeah, there's a whip.
Okay, excellent. I'm very glad to hear that. I'm a big whip guy.
There's a bunch of weapon types in the game, so whips are one of them, but everyone really has their own favorite kinds of weapons, and everyone's playstyle is a little bit different. So some weapons are more powerful but slow, and some are more fast and have longer reach, that kind of thing. So this is one of the townspeople that I just rescued, and she runs a small magic shop. And so when I go back to the town later on, I'll be able to, she'll be able to help me upgrade my magic items. So the more townspeople you find along your journey, it's optional to rescue all of them because some of them are hidden in hard-to-find places off of the path of what you need to do to finish the game and find the final boss. But if you find them all, they all add a little bit to the story, of course, but then also they give you some side quests, and so it's a lot of more of a rich experience than your typical Metroidvania, where it's really about how do you clear your primary mission. There's a lot of optional things to do for people who really want to go a little bit further into the depths of the dungeon and get 100%.
So this game was in Kickstarter, and it's been a while since it was successfully funded. But James and the rest of the team have been super open, and they've released a lot of updates, and they've actually been doing betas. How has that actually helped with development, having the community kind of like take part in it?
Our community has been fantastic. So like when we first started the Kickstarter, and this was about 5 years ago now, we naively thought that it would take about a year, because we had this demo that was that a lot of people played and really enjoyed, and it showed just kind of like one subsection of the mines area. So people who backed the Kickstarter might be like, oh yeah, I saw this 5 years ago, but what we found is, as you get deeper in, it's not just make 5 more of those and you're done, or however many more and you're done. It's really about building all the infrastructure to make sure that it all works well together. So our community, every time I meet someone at PAX who tells me that they're a backer, I always apologize for how long it's taking. We really want to make sure that we do it right and we do the concept justice, and we're not just like shipping out a broken game. And everyone, without fail, kind of subscribes to the same mantra we do of like a good game, a late game will eventually ship, but a bad game will be bad forever. Oops, no, don't do that.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm dying.
Well, that's something that's probably going to happen a bit in the game, so we might as well show off all of the features.
Yes, exactly. Death being one of them. So when you die.
So there's actually checkpoints.
Yeah, you go back to the last place where you saved. So fortunately, that wasn't too long ago. And here's the map of where I am. So I didn't lose too much progress. So yeah, that was deliberate, where I could show you what happens when you die.
Yeah, totally deliberate. It was definitely not a mistake at all.
Not at all. Not at all. So without fail, our backers have been super supportive. They've proposed some ideas, but for the most part, it was things that we just wanted to do. James has a very strong vision of what he wanted Chasm to be, and so a lot of the time and development was just him being very particular about what he wanted the game to be. So it took a while for him to realize that full vision, but I think people will be really excited to get their hands on it and play it the way it was always meant to be.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that. So why don't you run down the platforms it's coming to, whenabouts we can see it, and I'm very excited to play it. So please let me know when I can play it.
Yeah. So we announced relatively recently that it's actually. So I just mentioned at the beginning of this that it's in certification. The game is actually now pretty much done. So we will be launching this summer on Steam, PS4, and Vita. Sony has been super supportive of the game, and so we wanted to support Vita and all the platforms. But eventually, we'd like to be on every system. So not sure what the timing of any other systems will be, but if there's a system out there, we want to be on it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Dan. I'm very excited to see this game, and I'm so glad that you brought it by.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.